My name's Doug Dangremond. I work for Command Information. Command Information is actually a company that was founded around doing consulting for next generation internet, specifically IPv6, with the idea that there's going to be a lot of transitions and complex issues to deal with the dual stack environment. And so what we've done is we formed sort of a life cycle approach with assessment, design, implementation, and operational support around doing infrastructure changes regarding security and how to build a dual stack, focused on the idea of doing things through a life cycle planning process that does not incur out-of-cycle product costs in purchases and or retrofits. Looking at security as you implement dual stack and how the policies apply to that. And then also looking at address planning and other things that are going to have to take place through that process. Also, we have an application development house that we do specifically looking at IPv6 and trying to figure out what are some of the next generation applications that we'll be running on a dual stack or a v6 enabled network. Things like sensor technologies. We were born actually in the Department of Defense, and we did a lot with the Department of Defense in helping them with their addressing plans, as well as we wrote the what's called the JITIC plans, which are the labs for the Department of Defense that test all the hardware and software that must go into the government. And so we wrote the plans for that, for how do you get through an IPv6 testing. And so we're also helping hardware and software manufacturers now with their roadmaps and other things around building v6 into their products. So not just making them capable, but enabling them over time. And then the last thing is we're not an outsourcer, so we also have a training organization. We actually acquired a company called Native6, who does training around application development in a v6 environment, and also building networks in v6, as well as security around v6. And so the idea is to train IT organizations as well as help them implement these changes. And then the last thing is we also have some patents around sensor technology and other things that are able to be sort of what we call zero configuration sensors, which go into the networks, and specifically around the Department of Defense right now, but we're looking at commercial applications for those as well. And I think some of the other panelists have some more experience in terms of the actual deployments of service providers in v6. So the goal of this panel really is to kind of talk about v6 and the peering of v6, but also to talk about what things you might run into as you start to convert to a dual stack. And so I'll let these gentlemen go through each of their organizations and talk a little bit more about what they're looking at in v6. And I guess I'll start down at the end down there with Martin, if you want to start.
Non-alphabetically. Hi, I'm Martin Levy. I'm Director of IP Strategy at Hurricane Electric. And our IPv6 story is very simple. We started in about 2001 and started building up an IPv6 network that was originally just tunneled, adjunct to our IPv4 services. We expanded that, and about just less than 2 years ago, converted over to a fully native IPv6 backbone. We're a transit company, so our business is wholesale IP bandwidth, both IPv4 and v6. And in the v6 world, being able for us to deliver that protocol at exactly the same points that we delivered before, at exactly the same connections, everything being native, is fundamental to our offering. Whether it's at telecom hotels, which we've heard about on one other panel today, internet exchanges, all of the places where classic wholesale purchase of IPv6 is needed. The ability to provide IPv6 services is not only important at the backbone, not only important at just being able to hand it off at a connection point, but also looking at other services. So we're providing native DNS services, NTP services, and then for our hosted customers, or for our customers that are in our data centers, there's also support at the SMTP level, at email level, et cetera, et cetera. It is a key part of our offering because we're a transit network. We have a very large number of interconnects with other IP backbones. So in the world of transit, it's not about providing connectivity to the end user, which we'll hear about from Comcast, or to or to wireless connections, end users at that level. At our level, it's all about providing at the wholesale level. So that's where our focus is.
My name is Cody Christman. I'm Director of Product Engineering for NTT America. And one of the handful of products that I'm responsible for is our IPv6 suite of products and services. NTT America is a wholly owned subsidiary of NTT Communications, and we are the North American arm of NTT Com. NTT Communications is based in Tokyo, Japan, and we're pretty well known in Asia, but in the United States and Europe, not so much. But just to give you some perspective, we are the second largest telecommunications company in the world behind Verizon, with about $92 billion in revenue. We have been involved in the development, deployment, and promotion of IPv6 for over 12 years now. And in 1996, NTT Labs started one of the world's largest global IPv6 research networks. And by 2003, our entire production backbone had been upgraded to be dual stack IPv4 and v6 on a global basis. So we served 4 continents: Australia, Asia, North America, and Europe. And in 2003, we were able to offer globally commercial IPv6 internet access. So our philosophy has always been that any product we offer in v4 should also be available in v6. So since that time in 2003, we've filled in some of our functionality gaps with additional things such as managed router service for our customers and managed dual stack or native IPv6 firewall services, as well as managed private server and virtual private server web hosting. So people that want to host on v6 have a platform to do so. As far as peering goes, we're a Tier 1 ISP, so we don't buy transit from anyone. We do a lot of private peering, obviously with other Tier 1s and a few other service providers. What our philosophy has been there is if we've peered with somebody in a v4 network, and that service provider has a v6 network and is interested in doing so, we will peer with them. We currently don't have any v6 specific private peers. As far as public peering goes, we basically public peer all the major global exchange points. Let's go through them real quick. Starting in Asia, in Hong Kong, we're at the HK6IX, in Japan at the NSPIX P6 and the JPNAP6. Here in the United States at the ECHO6IX, both on the East and West Coast, and in PAX. And then a number of peering exchange points in Europe, the UK6X and Lynx in England, the AMXIX in Netherlands, DECIX in Germany, Parix in France, and SPNX in Spain. And then I put this together for, if we had a PowerPoint, I was going to show everyone a copy of this internet topology map that's put together by the Cooperative Association for Internet Data Analysis. Basically what it is, it's a routing and geographic view of the v6 internet based on the geography served by a service provider and the number of direct customers served. And our marketing people love this map because it shows NTT right in the middle. We've always used this map since 2005, and just last week I went out and checked the CADA website, and they actually put together some data. They updated it for 2008 based on some data they collected in the first week of this year. And the main reason I bring this up is because AS 2914